ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.
Big final over. We're getting to see that pretty often in this tournament. That gives the Knight Riders 206 for 4. And what is a very important game, can't say that enough, for the defending champions. Let's see where that game stands at half-time on Nexa Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout in the fine company this Sunday afternoon. Matt Frawler, Ambati, Rayudu and Katey Martin. I wouldn't blame any of you if you took a bit of a nap just between overs 7 and 12, 13. But we woke up with Rinku. Rayudu, 203 is what you said, 206. So does that mean advantage KKR?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially after the finish that we have witnessed, definitely advantage KKR because wicket seems to be a little too paced. It does not seem to be a placid batting track. So I think that's enough runs on the board.
Okay, Katey, what did you pick up from that innings? And what's the story for you?
Interesting trend. I think I'm going to go the numbers path for a second. 9 overs of spin in a row, and I think the shift was Andre Russell obviously went up the order. He was 2 off 8. 16th over, Mudwell come back on, and that was the shift. The pace back on. They took 85 off the last 5 overs. So for me, the way that they use the spinners, I think Rajasthan was outstanding. I think there's a few bare patches potentially there, so that may mean that a few of the balls skid on versus holding, and that's that two-pace nature. But once, I guess, Russell had a bit of time and a bit of understanding of the conditions, he was flying. And a score like that, for me, when I've got 2 world-class spinners and then you throw in Mo and Ali, you go, how many runs do we need for our spinners to be effective on a wicket like that? And I think it's a very good score. Brilliant.
Matt?
Yeah, I'd echo all of that. I think potentially would look at Parag's decision to bring Madwell back when he did and question that. I know they'd bowled a lot of spin in a row, but given that Russell was 2 off 8 balls at the start of that over and then really started going, he took down Teekshana in his last over, but by that point was up and running. I think that was potentially a mistake.
What was his option? Himself?
Yeah, he could have gone himself. He could have gone Teekshana instead as well. I think there was a possibility there to just keep rolling through with spin until you had to go back to pace rather than going the other way. What I would say as well, KKR, good decision in the end to bring Russell up the order. It's been something that's been discussed for probably over a decade in the IPL. Where
53 matches this season. They finally figured out Andre Russell needs to face at least 20 balls.
Well, it was the first time since the first game of last season since he's faced 20-plus balls in an IPL innings, which is incredible, really. I mean, obviously last year that was partly because they were being so successful, but this year it feels like he's just not had the opportunity to impact games in the way that we know he can. We saw a glimpse of it up in Delhi when he hit that huge straight 6, but then the real best of him tonight, I think.
Okay, outcome oriented. When they win, let him not bat. When they're losing, get him in. There are ways for seamers to also be effective on two-paced surfaces, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, they are if you really hit the pitch hard and also a lot of slow balls. I think going to the Yorkers at the end, I didn't think was a great option, especially against big hitters, big hitter like Russell. Maybe they could have just bowled more into the pitch, more short balls and more slower balls into the wicket as well.
I did think Madwell went away from his plan. He was so successful with those Yorkers, whereas I felt today probably he looked wider in terms of Russell, and we know that slower ball bouncer is something that Russell struggled a little bit against. But I definitely think this is a heavy scoring in terms of the new ball when the Royals have a bat, and then how they can sort of create a platform to be able to negate that maybe the spinners might get on top a little bit to create an opportunity to score heavy at the end. Well, we've got a West Indian in the Royals, so we've had 2 West Indians in the death in 2 days have a good time, so why not make it 3 today? There you go.
And we can't forget that this is big time. It's almost like interview period or bonus period, in the corporate houses around December, like Matt works harder when his appraisal is due. So Shimron Hetmeyer has to work hard now in these last 4 games. Everything seems to click. Let's talk Andre Russell, though, the West Indians that Katey brings up. 1 of 8, you said, at one point?
He was 2 off 8 and then 2 off 9 during that Madwell over and then really exploded.
Yep. So this was just the plus side of having some time to get in, you think?
I think so. He is typically a slower starter, and I think he does struggle against spin early on. And I think he was banking on the fact of, okay, once the pace comes on, that's when I'm going to really target. And then Teekshana, who we know bowls pretty much slow medium paces at the moment with those Karen balls, that he lined him up pretty well. So
yeah, but as Matt said, they should have persisted with spin.
Yeah.
Because when he was struggling, I think that was a rookie move to get a fast bowler in at that point in time.
Yeah, well done to Russell. Theekshana is another story. Just how lackluster he's been after having quite an impression at the Super Kings.
Yeah, I mean, see, it's always tough when the team's not doing well. They're not putting enough runs on the board, or they've not been chasing totals as well as they should. So for a spinner, it gets tough, and especially being an overseas spinner, you are expected to be a match winner in that team. But Theekshana, even at CSK, he was not a match winner, but he was somebody who could do his role really well around a lot of other players. But here he's expected to do a lot more. So that might be a little problem for him.
And fairness, 3 overs were good, and then the 4th one was expensive.
But what I'd add to what Rayudu said there is that he was asked to do a role, and that role was often to bowl in the power play, bowl with the new ball and skid them on, which I think he was so successful doing. We've seen him do it for Sri Lanka in international cricket as well, whereas he bowled the 5th today, but he's been generally used a little bit later in the innings when I just don't think he's as effective. And I feel like that's been part of the story. They're not necessarily using him in the optimal way, I don't think.
Just sitting here, I just feel like it's more fun discussing the Royals batting. It's not fun discussing the Royals bowling. It just doesn't seem to have that same energy about it. Let's talk KKR batting. You're saying it's good score, Rayudu, and I'll bring Katey in on this as well. Partnership 42 of 31, Rahane and Raghuvanshi. Rahane 10 of 13, Raghuvanshi 28 of 18. What were KKR doing in that period?
I think, it'll be good for KKR if both of them don't bat together, because both of them bat in a very, very similar way. You would want, ideally in a partnership, to have 2 different kind of batsmen batting with 2 different styles. See, both of them like to anchor the innings, play good cricketing shots. It makes it slightly easier for a bowler. I felt even today as well, they were trying to hit, but it was not their strength, especially in those middle overs on a pitch that was slightly slow. Maybe they could have sent Venki Iyer at number 4 to just complement that left-right combination.
The story for KKR is no matter what happens once they bat, either Russell hasn't batted enough, Rinku hasn't batted enough, Venki hasn't batted enough, or Ramandeep today hasn't batted enough. Did you see the intent in that partnership?
Marginally. For me, what conversations are they both having in terms of whose role it is? When you're setting a target, the conversation straight away after the power play would have been, right, what's the score that we think is going to be a winning score on this total? So then you break down the game on how you set that up. I didn't see that we're going to get 1 boundary and over, 2 boundaries and over. Who's the over that we're going to target? And I think it took to the 16th over for that big over, the shift. And then I think from that, the last 5 overs were double-digit overs. And in T20 cricket, if you can go back-to-back double-digit overs, that's when you get those scores of 200 plus. So it's how whether it's that batting order change, which I agree, who that is. And I think they did that in part today. But what conversation's saying, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck, shift this innings forward. And I guess when they've put 200 on the board, it shows that they can have a little bit of a lull in the middle, but not for that 9 overs period.
Yeah, I think after the Punjab game, if you remember at Mullampur, that is where all this has started. Their intent has actually gone down a bit. They've taken a safer route, saying that we have enough bowling in our tank, so let's just hold back a little bit.
Right.
I think that's where this sort of method is being applied at the moment, but I'm sure from the next game they will step it up.
Yeah, and the tricky part is they still have a lot to play for. They have to win.
Yeah.
And if you don't get, these things don't necessarily happen often. A 23-run over, 22-run over, as Katey says. If Madhwal bowls a good last over, then suddenly the game's a 180, 190 sort of game. So, well, for now, they've got 206. Very quickly looking ahead to the chase, though. Will it get any easier to bat, second innings?
I think it should, ideally, because it'll be another roll. Climate will cool up, and wicket will be a little more settled than what it looked in the first innings.
So Suryavanshi can just knock it around and get his eye in, maybe defend a few. That's not happening.
I can't wait. I've got a gut feel that they're going to bowl one of the spinners, whether it's the first or second over, against him to take that pace off. And the challenge that he's going to have, or both teams are going to have, is you kind of want to have more fielders out to protect, because he's so strong down the ground and he's also so strong square of the wicket. I want to see them try to force him to sweep, because I think he gets down on his knee, he can't create as much power. So can they force him to hit square of the wicket? And I think that's the challenge he's going to have. And it'll be slower balls straight up, surely. You've got to expect.
Let's spend a little time here on what you would have said to the 14-year-old, because I take away we can't possibly relate to analysis when it comes to a 14-year-old in a high-performance sport. So I can only think of the human factor, conversations. 100, 0, few days where Rahul Dravid might have chatted, maybe Riyan Parag or Sanju Samson there. What would they have said? What would you have said?
Me?
To Vaibhav?
I would have just stayed away from him and just smiled and said, you know, you just scored 100 a couple of days back. A 0 wouldn't matter. You can just walk in with the same confidence and, you know, just go for it. I don't think you can say much more than that to a 14-year-old.
You wouldn't go into that route of where sometimes a batting coach or an analyst would go, right, so, you know, this is your wicket and this is what you did. Maybe if you
I would rather, you know, just stay away from him. And even if he's trying to come to me, I would just avoid him for a bit. And if it is unavoidable, then maybe I would just say that if there is something, I'll come to you. You just enjoy yourselves. You know, I wouldn't even get into his head, not even a word.
You once rightly told me that for you, the sole job of the analyst was to help me prepare on what to expect. Now, can an analyst tell 14-year-old Vaibhav here, so this is Sunil Narayan, who you will be facing for the first time potentially, or a Varun Chakravarti facing for the first time potentially. I don't know, can you have such conversations? I'm still reeling with shock.
I would say if there's anyone, I know he's not had a great first season as Rajasthan's head coach back in the IPL, but if there's anyone who should be well suited to it, it's Rahul Dravid, based on his coaching career, the work he's done with a lot of young players. You'd think he should be well acquainted with how to deal with that situation, I would say.
Father of 2 boys, slightly older than Vaibhav. I think that's more relatable than his coaching. Katey?
Could you imagine all the people that he's had around him in the last 5 days? So hopefully the fact that he's got a little bit of silence, he's maybe gone off social media hopefully as well, and he's just gone back to what's made him successful. But I can tell you what, people are sitting on their couches at home, they're sitting at that ground on the edge of their seat going, what's going to happen? And that's what the IPL's about, those box office players. And well, 14 years old, I mean, it doesn't get better. No 14-year-olds listening to anyone, are they?
Yeah. But I think the only thing maybe they would have told him is, you know, people are trying to bowl extremely full to you because you're hitting well off length. So just maybe expect a fuller ball initially at least.
Keep it simple. All right. Yeah, he's up to 2 million followers after being a little less.
What was he before that night?
That night is when I checked her. I never checked. I didn't think it was appropriate to open the Insta account of a 14-year-old.
He might have been doing commercials in the last few days. He might have had a few sponsorships that have fallen his way and a couple of free watches as well. Maybe we'll might need to see him and see how he's going.
I hope the products are age appropriate. Chocolates and candies and whatever else there may be. Right. This is big for KKR. They need to win. Vaibhav Arora also has good numbers against left-handers, so he's taking the ball. Harshit Rana has been impact subbed in. They've now got Kunal Rathore as well. Is there anything that you'd like to see from a Rajasthan point of view other than this? All right, we can just wait for it. Shimron Hetmaya, let's see when he comes in. Let's get predictions, shall we? Forecaster, what are you telling us? You're telling us win probability for KKR 66%. 34 RR. On that note, Matt.
RR to scrap up to 175.
Oh, and I should do the Vaibhav game as well because you nailed it last time, you cynical man. He said Suryavanshi to get out to Deepak chair in 2 balls and he walked off, and that's exactly what happened.
I felt pretty cruel though after that came right. So maybe we should go with some runs today. Let's say I reckon I'll get 40 today.
Oh, you're not going to tell me how he's going to be dismissed?
No.
Okay.
We'll go with the positive.
All right. Ambati Rayudu?
I think KKR winning it easy by about 40, 50 runs.
Vaibhav 40, 50?
Vaibhav?
Oh.
No, Vaibhav will be very, very hard for him tonight.
Okay.
These guys are well prepared.
Yeah.
I was saying Rahane there talked to his bowler. So, you know, they have come with a plan. They have point behind. They have square leg behind. So, they're not going to give him pace as
Katey said.
Yeah.
I think I'm going 20 off 10, and then I think spin will be his downfall. Bold, looking to hit square.
All right. We'll take it there. And you're going for KKR to get the job done, Katey?
100%.
All right. Let's see what this game stands. Thank you very much. Ambati Rayudu, Matt Roller, Katey Martin. We will see if the defending champions have picked up those 2 valuable points, and we'll also build up to the first game at Dharamshala in this year's tournament. Join us then for Next Up Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout.
Ready for it.
thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.